Do you remember that film? Do you remember that film that, I don't know when it was possibly in the 80s, I think it must have been, that had the music with the lyrics, if there's something strange in the neighbourhood, who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. Well, these days, who are you going to call? I was thinking about this morning because last night a friend of mine ended up in A&E, and I thought to myself, oh, blimey, that's the last place I'd like to go, A&E, you know, in a NHS hospital, what with those people who were responsible for causing a huge atrocity across the world, not them specifically across the world, but they were part of that, you know, that sort of ganging up on people and sticking needles in their arms and filling them with all sorts of nasties that we now know 4 years later is causing a lot of deaths. Well, it caused a lot of deaths at the time, didn't it? And the last thing I would think is, do I trust the doctors? I mean, if I was knocked unconscious and I went in, what would happen to me? I'm of a certain age. Would they inject me with the wrong kind of serum? Would they put me on midazolam, send me on my way on the Liverpool pathway? It's a bit of a worry. Every time I hear that somebody's got to go to the hospital, you think, are they going to come out? That is the big thing. So who would you trust? Can you trust your doctors? Can you trust your GP? Your GP was also another one saying, yeah, when you were feeling a bit sniffly. Do you remember during lockdown? You were feeling a bit sniffly and whatever. And I said, oh, don't come in here. We don't want to catch any of that virus that's going around. So, yeah, I don't know if I can trust them. The other thing is, you know, if somebody comes, you know, you hear a bit of creaking on the floorboards in the middle of the night, or you hear a window opener, or you hear a jemmy on your front door, who are you going to call? Ghostbusters? You may as well, because there's no point calling the police. And anyway, if you did call the police, can you trust them? Can you trust the police? They're all corrupt these days. They're all there collecting money. They're so busy going and arresting people who are quietly praying on the street doing nothing, or they've put a tweet that's not really offensive to anybody other than one particular individual. They're so busy doing that they're not going to come along and sort out what's happening in your house if you're being burgled. Or if you just happen to be carrying £1,000 of cash, they'll come along and say, actually, thank you very much. We think you're a drug dealer. This is mine. I don't know if you've seen that video circling around. Yes, I don't think I can trust the police. And when you're driving, you know what it's like? You're driving, there you are, there's a police car. It's like a blooming shark, isn't it? Going around the streets like this, cruising about, looking for those saps who are going to give them some money, because that's what they do. No, I couldn't trust the police. But this is the problem. Where else do you go? Oh, of course, there's a bit of a problem. You want to write to your MP. Ha, yeah. Do you trust your MPs? Do you trust them? People have been trying to write to their MPs and talk about the spraying of the skies. Oh, no, nothing to see up there. They're not spraying the skies. Why would they? Of course they're not spraying the skies. All of a sudden, the UK government is going, yeah, I think we're going to dim the skies to reflect the sunlight back at the sun. Oh, yeah, so now the MPs go, oh, yes, we're dimming the skies, all right. It's very important, very essential that we do it. Do you trust your MP? Of course you can't trust your MP. Do you trust the lawyers? When you go to court, do you trust the lawyers? Oh, no, of course you can't trust your lawyers and your barristers because they're all working for the private bar guild, aren't they? They take an oath separately to you. They're not actually working for you. They're working for the court first. And what about the judges? They're all corrupt these days, aren't they? So you can't trust them. You can't trust the councils. You go to the councils and you say to them, oh, I've got a problem with this. Oh, yeah, we don't trust them. Yeah. Would you mind not building on the greenfield sites all around us, all that lovely agricultural land? Yeah, of course we won't build on that unless, of course, you're crossing my hand with silver, a little brown envelope full of something, and the next minute, you know, all that lovely countryside that you bought your house in front of is full of new builds. And not only just full of new builds, it's full of strange people who've come across on rubber boats. So you can't trust those. Obviously, we can't trust the government because those people you vote in absolutely throw away their manifesto and then they just do completely the opposite. So if you happen to be a pensioner and you thought you were going to have a bit of money coming in during the winter, forget that. That was torn up along with so many other promises. And if you were a farmer, well, then, of course, you're going to have the inheritance tax thrown at you. So you can't trust the government. So you start to think, hang on a minute, all those people that we used to trust, all those people that we used to turn to for help and assistance, you can't trust them anymore. You can't get an ambulance because they're all so very busy. Can you trust the firemen? I don't know now. I suppose that seems to be one laudable source. I haven't heard any corruption about firemen, so maybe we're all right about them. Postman, I do trust my postman. He does seem to bring the post, so that's somebody I can trust, thank goodness. But doctors, no, not really. You know, if you're going to have open heart surgery, what are they going to use? Maybe they'll use a stake and just sort of send you off thinking you're a vampire or something. Who knows? I just... we start to think, actually, if you can't trust all the usual services that we used to trust, then who have you got left? Well, of course, you've got yourself left, haven't you? That's the only, in the end, the only people you can trust is your friends and family and yourself. And maybe you can't trust your friends and maybe you can't trust your family. But can you trust yourself? Well, hopefully you can. Hopefully that's it. But this is what we need to do now. We've realised that all these services, all these people that we used to rely on that were up there. You remember Dixon of Dock Green? Some of you will be old enough and who lived in this country during the 70s will remember the da 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 da. Evening all. Dixon of Dock Green, dressed up very smartly, I have to say, unlike a lot of the police you see these days, very smartly, and he was a very trustworthy gentleman, wasn't he, old Dixon of Dock Green? Although, of course, it was inspired from The Blue Lamp, a film some years earlier, in which Dixon actually got killed off. So we shouldn't have trusted him in the first place because he must have been a ghost or an imposter, but it was the same actor, Jack Warner. Anyway, point being that we're now a bit stuck, aren't we? Because all those services, we are at the point where we now know we can trust no one. We can trust none of these authoritative services to do anything, and so therefore we can only trust ourselves. And it's going to take a bit of time to rebuild the world, because once you've lost trust, you have no faith in them. What about the church? Do you have trust in the church? Oh no, wait a minute. They shut their doors, didn't they, during lockdown and wouldn't let anybody in. And also some members of the clergy, certainly of a certain religious bent, were fiddling around with the choir boys as well. So we've got all of that. Do we try? So this is it. This is it. I'm sort of at a loss really, because you start thinking, well, what kind of service is there that you can trust? So we've got to rebuild. We've got to rebuild, and that's going to take a lot of time. And of course, you see a lot of young people who've no notion of what is going on, and they're just used to the corruption, which is such a shame. Or they don't even know it's going, or they're being fleeced. You can't trust bailiffs, obviously. You can trust them to do the wrong thing. So that's where the trust goes. You can trust to be fleeced by the police, fleeced by the police, fleeced by the judges, fleeced by the lawyers, fleeced by your MPs, fleeced by your doctors, fleeced by the damn whole lot. We've got to rebuild and make this world a better place. And so it starts with you and I. And if we can trust one another and we can slowly rebuild everything, there is a chance. But in the meantime, we're in this sort of no man's land, aren't we? Where we can see the volleys going across us and we can hear the explosions. We hear the ambulances as more and more people are sort of keeling over thanks to a certain injection that they may have had in their arm. I don't know where we're going to go, but I do believe that we've had to go through all of this. We've had to go and see the writing on the wall, so to speak. This is it. This is it. The writing is on the wall, and the only way from here is not down, not negative, not down and down in the dumps and there's nowhere to go, but actually it is in a way, it's reliant on us. You could say it's a bit of anarchy in the old terms of anarchy, self-rule. We have got to take back responsibility. We have got to act honourably. We are the ones that can make the change, and we will. And slowly and surely, I think we're on that turn, because all these other services have shown their nasty teeth and their horrible faces. The mask has slipped, and we will turn to something a lot better. That's what I think. So fingers crossed and have faith that we can do it. Thank you very much for watching. I would be interested to know what services and whom you can trust. Can you trust the dentists, or are they filling you with those whatever they're called, amalgams full of something else? Can you trust the supermarkets with their nutrient-free, vitamin-deficient food full of all sorts of stuff? Apparently Coca-Cola and Bill Gates have got together. Could you trust that? Well, I never trust that brand anyway, but there you go. Do let me know if you can find anyone out there that you do trust, a service that is, you know, what about builders? In the old days, builders were the cowboys, and estate agents, we never used to trust those. I mean, this is it. Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters? You may as well.